Welcome, everyone, to the Viva Connections and SharePoint Framework bi-weekly sync. It's December 14th. Oh, my goodness. And I'm your host, Beau Cameron. I could click next. There we go. We have a good agenda today. As always, we'll discuss the latest updates from SharePoint Framework. We'll go through all of our community updates as usual, and then we have picture time, so get those hairdos ready. And then we have 3 awesome demos from Ejaz, Paolo, and Kasper, showing off how to use list webhooks for a real-time incident dashboard. Paolo's going to show us all the new capabilities about bot-powered ACEs. And then Kasper is going to show us how to build an enterprise search center using PnP search web parts. All right, and if you haven't had a chance to get involved just yet, or this is your first time attending these calls, we have a lot of great resources available to you for you to check out. All of these calls are recorded and will be hosted on our YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button, for the algorithm. If you're on LinkedIn, head over there. We have a new group as well, where we post a lot of these updates and then just general conversations throughout the community. We also have a ton of open source repositories. Some of them you are going to see today, and our sample galleries for our solutions, SDKs, web parts. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them for free, so definitely check those out. And you can get access to all of these resources by going to aka.ms/community/home. Of course, we also have our calls like this one you are on now. They happen monthly or bi-monthly, depending on the topic. This one happens bi-weekly, and we alternate with the general dev call. If you're looking to access all of these, you can access them at aka.ms/community-calls to get a download for the ICS. Our next call is going to be the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform weekly call, happening on December 19th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. If you would like to present, we're always looking for presenters for some demos. We welcome everyone to present. You can go to aka.ms/community/request/demo for more information. All right, and then we have office hours. David, is that you?
It is, Beau. Thanks for asking. So we are going to be back in January with Sharing is Caring, along with some office hours. We're retooling a little bit to try to make it more scalable for everybody. So we appreciate your patience. Really love this program and want you to know that it is alive and well, and we're looking to improve it. So be on the lookout for that. We're also going to be setting up those videos, and we're still going to have live sessions. It's just not going to be as frequent, but we're looking to make sure that it is there for you in the community so that you can feel empowered. These are safe space opportunities to ask questions, because we don't record them. So definitely keep an eye out as we get into the new year for aka.ms/sharing is caring. And then once you do contribute, we want to recognize you. Our ever popular recognition program is alive and well as well. Did I say alive and well as well? Yeah, I guess I did. So from the Department of Redundancy Department, it is available. We only have 18 days left in December, everybody, so there is still plenty of time for you to get some badges. Get them. Season of Getting 2023 here, but it's not going to be here for long. Slice of samples. Definitely get involved. aka.ms/community/recognition. Just opt in so that we can keep track of your GitHub contributions, and then we'll automatically provide you these badges. Some just went out today, so there's plenty of time left. Definitely take advantage. Reach out if you have any questions, or if you've got a multi-contributor contribution. It only tracks the original author. So let us know if there's some others that need and deserve those badges. All right, Beau, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, David. All right, next up, we have some updates on SharePoint Framework from Microsoft themselves. Vesa, take it away.
Excellent. So quick recap in here. The growth is steady and keeps on skyrocketing. We're breaking tens of millions of monthly active users in custom SPFX components across Microsoft 365. It's awesome to see the growth again in the autumn, and now we're a bit slowing down because holiday season is coming. Now let's go to the following slide. This is the updated roadmap slide, which we actually shared 2 weeks ago in ESBC, related on SharePoint Framework and Viva Connection platform areas. By end of the year, we're still looking into getting bot framework part Viva Connection Adaptive Card extension to preview and public preview. That's really pending for me to do the documentation on it, and we're working on some samples. It might actually slip to early January. We'll see how it goes. And the Viva Connection Card Designer with Microsoft Graph support is in preview. Went live actually yesterday. Those are not SPFX powered, but they're part of the platform which we're building for Viva Connection and SharePoint Framework. On SharePoint Framework side, we're looking into for the next year new placeholders on the pages, page toolbar extensibility, flexibility with connection, Viva Connection, SPFX Copilot integration scenarios. 50% of our resources are building right now interesting scenarios over there, and then of course Teams packaging model, improved tooling, all of that as normally. So a lot of new stuff coming within the next semester as well. But that's a quick recap from my side, and I think we have one more slide. No, we don't. Okay, so that's good. So let's go to the open source project.
Awesome. Yeah, so here are some updates from our open source initiatives across the community. I'll talk about PnP JS. So we just released 3.21 on December 12th. We had a really cool update. In this one, we did add new functionality to allow caching with our pagination methods. So if you were to use Graph or the SP package and you were doing pagination before, you couldn't use caching. So we have fixed that. We've added new support for dimensional pictures from Graph, and then a couple updates to existing file and item methods. We're currently working on version 4, which is going to be a lot more features in regard to Microsoft Graph. If you have any thoughts as to what you might want to see in V4, definitely check out issue 2678, where we have an ongoing thread there. And if you want to keep up to date on all the updates that we're doing within the package before releases, you can install our nightly builds at PnP/SP at V3 nightly. Next up, we have Gary.
Hi, Beau. Right, okay, we've got a new version of CLI for Microsoft 365. So it's new beta as v7.3. So we've got 3 new commands in this release. We've got some more commands to manage administrative units in Microsoft Entra. So now you can list the members of a unit. We've also got some new commands around external content as well. So we've got a command that helps you just verify the configuration of an external connection that you might have set up in your tenant. So maybe you've got a connection set up for search and you want to use it with Copilot. You can run the docs command and we'll give you a checklist of recommended things that you should be doing with that external content to get it be able to use it with Copilot. And we've got a command to just create an external item as well. So if you have a connection already set up with a schema, you can use the CLI to just ingest more content into your tenant. And we've also got a new command for Microsoft Teams. This long outstanding request. Actually, I remember this was created a long time ago, but we now have the ability to create an online meeting using the CLI. So if you're interested in any of those new commands or updates, check out the release notes, aka.ms/CLI-M365/notes. And if you're interested in just CLI in general, best place to talk about the CLI is in our Discord server. So we have the server invite link that you get from aka.ms/CLI-M365/Discord. Next slide. And we have an update to the dev proxy. So dev proxy is the tool that helps you simulate API errors, API behaviors, and mock responses. So we have a new beta release, 0.114.0. So you can get that from aka.ms/devproxy/beta. So you get the download link there. So we've included some developer experience improvements where we've now got schema for the configuration and responses files as well. So you now get that nice IntelliSense when you're updating these files in VS Code. And we've also added support for intercepting options requests, which we didn't support previously, and a few bug fixes as well. So if you're interested, check out that version. Our next release, 0.14, will be around in January. And if DevProxy is new to you and you're interested, please check out our new docs at aka.ms/devproxy, and you'll find all about us and how to get started. Beau, back to you.
Awesome. Next up, we got Alex on reusable controls.
Thank you, Beau. Yeah, so React Controls version 3.16, React Property Controls 3.15. So the next release probably will be somewhere in the next year, not this year for sure. And as usual, special thanks to all our contributors. These releases are there because of you, not because of us. And feel free, if you see some issues or you have some ideas for the controls, please don't hesitate and go and create PRs, create issues. We will triage them and process them. And that's all I have. Back to you, Beau.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. All right. We got Viva Connections Toolkit for VS Code. Vesa, did you want to tackle this or just want me to run through it?
I can quickly tackle this one. So the latest version is 2.4. With the latest version, there was an alignment together with Teams Toolkit integration. So you can actually use the Teams Toolkit and Viva Connection Toolkit together within the solution. So Viva Connection Toolkit adapts based on is the SPFX solution created directly in Yeoman Generator or Teams Toolkit, doesn't matter, all works. And that's really, really cool. In the V3, there's a rebuilding of the sample gallery view is coming in and adding support for Azure DevOps CI/CD pipeline actions within the Viva Connection Toolkit. So, and regardless of the name saying Viva Connection Toolkit, it is actually all for any SharePoint Framework development. It's super, super helpful community tooling for that. So take a look, provide us feedback, and contributions also welcome.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. And we have PnP Modern Search. I believe this is Kasper today.
Correct. And what an excellent case of timing, because Mikael just called me about 2 hours ago, said that we had 4.10 in the pipeline. It is actually in preview right now, and the primary update is that we are changing to SPFX 118.2 actually. And we have a lot of updates as well to the documentation. So we'll be busy testing in the next few days, and then we'll release 4.10 to the public. And it's going to be great. It's been a while since we released the last time, so there should be lots of goodies there.
Awesome. And we can't wait to see your demo towards the end today. All right. We got SPFX samples. David, I think you're covering this for Hugo.
Yeah, Hugo's out of the office today, so he is busy working on processing all those samples. Be sure you get them in because there are badges, and for those who have been submitting quite a bit, we have those tiered badges for SPFX web parts as well. So if you've gotten close to 5 or 10 for the year, you're going to get an extra special badge. If you're close, then push it over. Get some cool stuff in there. But he's processing. He's out of the office, and he will get them taken care of as soon as he gets back. You can see them all at ak.ms/community/samples or M365 samples. And we also have some really cool, you might even say, an ace in the hole. See what I did there? Derek is up next with aces.
I wish I was as funny as David. Go ahead, Derek.
All right. So SPFX adaptive card extensions. All right. So I didn't have a chance to update the slide. Paolo actually pushed the demo, the code for, I'm assuming, his demos earlier. So we do have 2 new demos, 2 new samples from Paolo on building aces for bot aces. And with that, I'm good.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Optional picture time. For everyone to get into together mode and see your beautiful faces.
Yes, let me share my screen. Let me find the teams somewhere in one of the screens. We have 50 seats in the house. Yes, Bill, that the hair is looking good. So, and the cap is awesome. Thank you, David, on that one. And those who joined a bit late today, it is a real cap. It's not a fake AI thing. That I just don't understand that. So good. We have 50 seats in a room. I'm not going to enable my camera, just making sure that it doesn't pixelate too badly. We're starting to hit the limit. Oh, Chris, that is a nice cap as well. So you're kind of copying the David's point. That's good. Let me put the recording on and let's do some hand waving, everybody. So thank you for joining once again. Chris, that's really cool. Excellent. Thank you for joining. Really, really, really cool. We'll do a GIF animation out of that. Cool. Let's move on to the stars of today, right?
Yes. Hopefully you can see my screen again. All right, stars of today. We have 3 awesome demos. The first one's going to be Ejaz showing us our list of webhooks, building a real-time incident dashboard. Paolo is going to show us a bot-powered ACE. And then Kasper is going to wow us with all of the PnP Modern Search magic. So first up, Ejaz, take it away.
Hello, thanks. Let me share my screen. So you guys can see my screen.
Yep.
Right, just say.
Yep, screen is visible. All good. Let's go to the presentation mode if possible. So, excellent.
Right. Hi guys, my name is Ejaz. I'm a developer architect. Works for a company called Adwania UK, and here's my LinkedIn and Twitter handle if you want to get in touch or if you have any questions. So today I'm looking into a real-time incident tracking dashboard with the list webhook notification. So see how if we go in, so basically there are 2 parts of this application. There's a one side is where we have a SPFX web part called Incident Dashboard, and which is using Microsoft SharePoint Framework list subscription capability. So we basically get notified automatically as soon as any changes happen in our in custom list or library. That's one side of the solution, and second side of the solution is I built a custom webhook list notification service based on Azure Function. So as soon as any change will happen in the list, it will also send a notification to our subscribed URL for the Azure Function, and the rest of the things that are happening in the Azure Function, like team integration and all kind of sort of things. So let's look into the architecture. What's that look like? So we have an end user. End user go ahead and add an item into the SharePoint list. So we have a web part, SPFX web part, like a incident dashboard. So it's subscribed using the list notification capability. So as soon as the changes happen here, we will get to know, and the change get populated in our web part. The data will be refreshed automatically. We don't need to reload the page. That's how the list notification works. So that's on this side, and at the same time we have subscribed to our custom webhook service. So the request will also go to our custom service where I'm checking. Okay, there are some changes in the last 5 minutes. Yes, there are some changes. When the request comes in, first of all I'm checking if it's a validation. Make sure there's a valid request, and checking within changes within the last 5 minutes. If the changes are valid, and I can see there are some changes, and then if my business criteria meet, like, hey, I'm only interested in critical updates, etc., then I want to make sure I want to let my colleagues know, or IT support team in my team. So I'm sending a adaptive card to them, say, hey, there is something urgent happened, so can you please take a look? So what we need to set this up before, we need to create a support. This is a custom list, so you can call it anything. I call it my tickets list because I'm creating some IT support tickets. You need to go ahead and create register a Microsoft Intro ID app because I'm using PnP Core for getting the changes from the list. Using from my custom webhook service. So I need to have this set up for authentication. So we can go to this URL to get the full steps. They even provide you this little PowerShell script as well with the PnP. You can run this and it does everything for you. You can it will create a certificate for you. It will create an app for you, and you can also you set up your scopes and permission as well. So this is the command at the bottom, and then you need to create a Azure storage account. I need this because as soon as I get the item, I get the notification, and this is a valid notification, I'm putting that that message into my queue, Azure storage queue, because I have to go back and reply within the 5-second window. That's why I'm putting the notification in the queue, so other Azure function can pick this up and process the request. Create a Microsoft Teams incoming webhook. You need to create that. So the ones, if your your business logic meets that, you want to inform team in Microsoft Teams a channel, then you need to go ahead and do that. Incoming webhook is really easy to do as well. Deploy, and then at the end you need to deploy Azure function. And once you deploy the Azure function, you will get your Azure function URL. And then you need to go and run this command on the right hand side, which is add PnP webhook subscription. You could see here, this is my Azure function URL, and I wanted to subscribe to add this as a notification URL for this list, which I have created on the step 1. So once we all that hooked up, we go to the next and see. Before we go to the demo, we want to just remind like how the SharePoint list webhook works. So basically, this is your SharePoint list, etc. You send it once changes happen, you send a post request to your custom webhook endpoint, which in our case is the Azure function, and then within a 5-second, you validate the token and you reply back, say, yeah, this is a valid request, and hey, here is my confirmation. So once you've done this, then what I'm doing, I'm putting the storage, I'm putting my message into the storage queue. I mean, this is a kind of old picture, but I'm using my Azure function. So Azure function is being picked up from the storage queue. And then what exactly it's doing is using get changes CSOM API to get the latest changes from the list. And then I've added some more customization. Okay, give me only changes from the last 5 minutes, don't give me everything. And within the last 5 minutes, if there is any changes which is critical, I'm then basically sending the message to the Microsoft Teams channel. So let's begin the demo. So I go ahead and so this is my incident dashboard web part, SPFX. So you could see I'm just retrieving the items from the list. So first one is a user is unable to access the email account. This is me testing. So if I go to that item, and this is the first in the list, so I'm going to just refresh just in case. So I'll go to the first item, and I would say added this item, and I'm going to say, okay. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to say just demo. I'm really bad with coming up with some names, so I'll just say save. Okay, so let's see what happened here. So I'm not refreshing the page, so I'm expecting this to automatically picked up and this get changed. The live demo and this list description, so hopefully it will do that. So while we wait for this one, we'll come back. I'm not refreshing this, so hopefully this should change this because it's subscribed to those changes. So I'm gonna maybe a few seconds. In the meantime, I will just go back to service, which I built here. So I'm gonna go back to SP Webhooks receiver. So that's the first one, which is a simple HTTP trigger function. So once that trigger when I make a change, once I make a change in the list, this guy get called, and I'm validating the token. If it's a valid token, then I'm sending yes, please, it's okay, thank you so much. And then once that's done, then I'm checking if if there are some notifications. Yes, notifications are there, and I'm adding into the queue. And then there's another function which is a process ticket. Process ticket then basically is a queue trigger function, and then what I'm doing is to go and get the recent changes. And if I go to the implementation of this one, so in here what we're doing is basically I'm getting some authentication. It's the usual stuff, so probably say lots of documentation how to get authentication, so please check that. So what I'm doing is I'm building my change token here, which is I'm calculating from so I need the duration for the last 5 minutes. So you could see here the duration is been here. So so that's the starting value, end value. So once I've got my 5 minutes change, then I'm subscribing to any item, add, update event. So if anything changes in the last 5 minutes, bring me that. And once I've got all the changes, if there are any changes, and then checking if there's any critical changes. If there are any critical changes, then I'm sending a notification to a channel, which, using the webhook notification URL, which we have created in the Teams channel. So if I go to this implementation, you simply see, so you get the adaptive card, which we have it here, incident JSON. So we got and populate our list items in there. So once we got the adaptive card hooked up, then you simply post to webhook URL. This is simply HTTP post request, and that's it. So if we go back now, I'm hoping that has been updated, so that's good. That's because without refreshing the page. And the second thing happened is request goes to the same thing. Demo has been come up in here, which is there's a critical item has been reported, some detail, and the user can click it and go back to the same item in there as well. So that's all from my side. So all the code is available. So in the GitHub repo, please check it out. That's all from me.
Awesome. Fantastic demo. Super cool. Live demos, always scary. All right. Next up, we have the Italian stallion himself, Paolo.
Yeah, thank you. And now we are going to talk about how we can build a bot-powered Viva Connection ACE. I'm Paolo from PiaSys.com, and let's move to the actual content and dig into what we want to see today. Let's first of all set the context. So what are the bot-powered ACEs? It is a new technology that Microsoft is introducing. Now they are under preview, and they need to be considered as a complementary technology to the SharePoint Framework-based adaptive card extensions. And you should consider them whenever you want to use a server-side rendering approach for creating your adaptive card extensions. Whether you want to use C# or Node.js, those bot-powered ACEs are based on the bot framework SDK, and they allow you to leverage a server-side code so that you can, for example, keep your private algorithm on the server side. You can have secret API keys to consume backend APIs without the need to have stuff on the client side, or whenever you want to have some kind of server-side logic rather than client-side rendering of your ACEs. Plus the fact that it might be that you already have some already implemented bot and you want to reuse them and have a better return of your investment. So by using these bot-powered ACEs, you can simply extend those bots that you have already created and simply add the additional functionalities required to support the creation and the rendering of an adaptive card extension, so that you can reuse your knowledge and expertise. So that said, first of all, let me show you how you can create a bot-powered ACE, and then we will briefly come back to the slide deck to see some final thoughts about what we have seen. So first of all, let me show you one bot-powered ACE in action. As you can see, this is the Viva Connection Dashboard, and here we have a bunch of adaptive card extensions that I created. One of these is this one, Your Voice Matters, which is a bot-powered one. As you can see from a UI point of view, it looks exactly like any other adaptive card extension that we have in the dashboard, but actually the rendering and the logic behind the scenes of this card that you see right here, through which we can hypothetically collect feedback from users. This one is based on a set of server-side logics based on a bot rather than on client-side code built with SharePoint Framework. So just to give you an idea of how this sample works, let me provide a really fake feedback like this is my feedback. Okay, you can have input, you can collect input, you can handle actions by clicking on the submit button. The server-side logic will handle the feedback from the user and provide the feedback to the user and stuff like that. So that's the idea. And of course, you can also expand the card view of the adaptive card extension with a custom quick view. This is a very basic example, and I want to show you how you can build such kind of solution. And then we will briefly see a little bit more advanced example of bot-powered ACE. So First of all, in order to create such kind of ACEs, you need to have a bot. And as such, you need to register a bot in your Azure environment. It will have to be an Azure bot. And here I have the one that I registered for this sample. And as you can see in the configuration, I have a URL configure, which is now relying on ngrok so that I can run locally on my environment the bot backend. I have an application configured in Entra ID, which will be used to manage all of the settings like the API permissions and the authentication, all the other stuff that I need to configure for my bot. I'm not digging into any details of this section because we will have a dedicated demo in one of the upcoming weeks about what you should do on the Entra side and on the bot setting side to support the bot powered ACEs. But if I go back to my bot registration right here, we can also see that in the channels, we have the Microsoft 365 channel configured for this bot. Now, when you have such a bot, you need to have a server-side application, which, as I said, could be a .NET or a Node.js one. In my sample, I'm using .NET Framework, .NET 6 actually. And here I have the solution that was running in my Viva Connection dashboard. First of all, you need to have a manifest file, which will look like any other Teams manifest file. I hope the font is big enough. And here you can see we have the definition of the manifest file. And specifically, we have a section where we define that we have one bot right here configured in our manifest. This will be the ID of the application ID for the bot that I showed you before in Azure. And we have to provide all the settings for the bot registration from a Teams point of view. As well as we have the dashboard cards section in which we can configure an array of cards, which will be the bot-powered adaptive cards that we are going to configure. Here I have my collect feedback one. Again, I have the ID of my card, and I have the ID of the bot mapping or backing the logic of this card. I also have a default size for the rendering of my card and stuff like that. Now, this manifest file, together with the two icons that we usually have whenever we build a zip package for a Teams application, can be then uploaded into the app catalog of SharePoint Online. So just to be clear here, we can go to the Manage Apps and we can upload the package. And as such, the bot-powered adaptive card extension will become available in the Viva dashboard. But now let's have a look at the actual implementation of this bot. Well, the bot itself is a class in .NET, which inherits from the SharePoint Activity Handler, which is a specialized version of the activity handler that we have in the bot framework. And actually, in order to do that, you need to use the latest releases of the bot framework. Here, for example, I'm using version 4.21.2, which is the latest one at the time of this demo. And here I have, first of all, in the constructor of my bot, I have the logic to build the initial outline of all of my card views and quick views, because even if we are on the server side, we still have the same logic that we used to have on the client side with SharePoint Framework. So we can create card views, we can create quick views, which are more advanced views based on adaptive cards rendering. In this scenario, in my customized SharePoint activity handler, I can handle a bunch of methods that I will show you briefly. One is the on SharePoint task get card view. This one will allow me to render a specific card view. And here, for example, whenever I get a request, I return a card view from a dictionary of card views that I configured in my implementation. While for the on SharePoint task get quick view async method, I will have the capability to return to the dashboard a quick view that I can generate on the fly or still get from a collection of predefined quick views, and so on and so forth. So let me first start from the card views themselves. We saw that we had a card view to collect the feedback with an input type text. Well, here we can create an object of type card view response And this one will be made of a set of parameters, which are nothing more than an object which will mimic on the server side exactly what we are used to have on the client side in SharePoint Framework when we build the component-based card views. And in fact, this card view parameters object, or type actually, does have a set of factory methods that we can use to create a basic card, an image card, a primary text card, a search, a sign-in, and a text input card. So based on what we want to render in the card view, we choose the right factory method. And then we have to provide the additional components to build, for example, the top bar of the card. We can build the text content of the card. We can build the input section if this is an input text input card, as well as we can configure all of the action buttons that we have in the card. So for example, here, I just defined the submit button, as you can see, which will be a submit action, which will get as an input the date time of the submission and the view that I want to navigate to after submission. I can also set an image for my card, which is the image that you saw on the right side. And we can also say that on card selection, so by clicking on the card itself, I want to render a quick view, which is my custom quick view that we will see later on. And then I simply collect this custom card view into a collection, into a dictionary of card views. Then I also create another one to say that I'm happy with the feedback that I collected. So this is the OK feedback card. And this will be an image card view parameters instead of a text input one. But the logic is still the same. So I build a set of components to build the UI of my card view. And again, I add that card view to the collection, to the dictionary of card views in my bot. Once I'm done with that, I can simply return the very first one. And when the user will click on the submit button to submit the feedback, I can simply rely on the on SharePoint task handle action async method, which will be triggered whenever there will be an interaction with the user. So in this scenario, I get the context of the interaction, and I can read from the actual content of the context of this activity, the data of the request, so that I can, for example, read the type of action that has been triggered, the ID of the action that has been triggered, and stuff like that. And I can dig into the properties through a dictionary of this object and read what was provided by the user. So, for example, in my card view, I was able to collect a text field with an ID of feedback value. And here, when I handle the action, I simply read the feedback value, which will be the actual string content of that input type text field. Once I've done that, I can use it, for example, to configure the output of the next card, which will be the one with the green check saying, thank you for your feedback, which was the following one. And in fact, that's what I do right here. So I get the card for the OK feedback, and I simply replace the content of the text with the actual feedback provided by the user. And then I say, please render the next card as the response from my handle action async method. Okay, so it is quite easy to understand that we can build card views and quick views using an approach which is server-side based, but which mimics exactly what we used to do on the client side with SharePoint Framework. For example, to render the quick view here, I simply rely on a quick view response object instead of a card view response object. I configure a bunch of properties, including the template of the content. And the template will be an adaptive card of version 1.5. And then using the object model of the adaptive card SDK for .NET, I simply build the actual output of my quick view. So I can define a container, a text block, another text blocks, and so on and so forth. And once I'm ready, I simply add that container to the body of my template, and I render the result in the dashboard as the response of my bot method. Okay, now, what if we want to do something more, like, for example, having a configurable adaptive card extension? Well, we have two additional methods that we can override. One is the on SharePoint task get property pane configuration, which is the one we can use to provide to the dashboard the property pane on the right side of the screen to configure the adaptive card extension. And then we have the set property pane configuration method, which is the one we can use to save the settings made by the user. Sorry about that. So let's switch. Let me stop this one and let's switch to another sample that I have, where I have the actual property pane in place. And I also have an hypothetical card to render a list of tasks that I simply configured as a pre-configured set of tasks, so that we can see how we can do data binding in the UI of these bot-powered ACEs. So the bot is running. Let me refresh my dashboard. And with exactly the same logic as before, now I have, and it should be reload, and here it is. Okay, we are ready. This is the new adaptive card extension bot power that I was talking about. And here I can browse a list of tasks, and I can go through all of the tasks with this approach. I can see the recap, and I can click on this button to see the quick view with a data bound list inside of an adaptive card rendered inside my quick view. And if I click on edit, I can also configure this adaptive card with a property pane like this one, which is just for the sake of showing you what is possible, the art of possible. So these are not real settings, but just for the sake of showing you what you can do in the property pane. And as you can see, you can configure text, toggle, you can have drop-down values, you can play with images and stuff like that. So plenty of options. And when you render this kind of property pane, you simply rely on the methods that I was telling you before, the on SharePoint task get property pane configuration async. And in this one, we simply configure through the object model of the bot-powered ACEs in the bot framework. We build a property pane configuration response again, and in that one we configure the property pane pages, and for every page we have a group of fields, and for every field we configure the flavor of the field, which can be a text field, can be a toggle field, and so on and so forth. So by using the object model, you can build the UI of the property pane. And once you are done with the property pane definition, it requires quite some code to do what I showed you before. You can process the actual saving of the settings by implementing the set property pane configuration method, which will simply be triggered when the user will click on the save button. And again, as it was before with the handle method, you will get the data object, which is a J object. And in that one, you can go through all of the settings configured by the user, and you can store them in your own settings or just in the state of the adaptive card component. In this sample, as I told you, I have a list of tasks. And this list of tasks is not only rendered through the card views, but also through a quick view. So if we dig into the constructor of this card, of this ACE, let me scroll a little bit down. Here we have the rendering of a quick view, which is the one we saw before. And in this scenario, rather than using the object model to build the output of the quick view, I decided to use the JSON template. So I have a JSON file which defines the actual structure of my adaptive card, which will be rendered in the quick view. And for example, I have a section where I do data binding across all of the tasks that I have in my bot. How can we do that? Well, I can simply rely on the package that we have by Microsoft, which is called adaptive card.templating. And through that one, I can, first of all, read the actual JSON of my template. And then, in order to do the data binding, I simply create an adaptive card template based on that JSON, and I do the expand, providing the data source object that I want to use to do the data binding. And once I've done that, I can get back as the result the adaptive card, which I can add to the content, to the actual template of my quick view response. And as such, rather than using the object model, I can use a JSON template and data binding to dynamically render my quick view in the output of the adaptive card extension. Now, Let me briefly go back to the presentation and let me share with you some final thoughts about what we have just seen. First of all, this is just for your convenience. These are the steps you need to follow to create a bot-powered ACE, but you will find them also on the documentation as soon as it will be available. But what is really important to focus on are some things that are really good to know. First of all, you can build multi-tenant bot power ACEs. So if you are an ISV, you can reuse the same bot across multiple customers. Keep into account that there is no pull technology. So you cannot push changes to the dashboard, even if you are server side. The only scenario is when the user will interact with you, and so it will be a pull scenario and not a push scenario. From an authorization and an authentication point of view, you will have to build a more complex scenario, configuring additional steps in the bot settings, and we will have a dedicated demo in the future about this topic. And remember that when you create the quick views and you rely on the object model, you can use even the latest release of the adapted card schema. While if you use the JSON template with the adapted card templating, that library, as of today, is able to support up to schema version 1.2. So you will not be able to leverage the latest releases of the adapted card schema. That said, a couple of links. And these are the demos that I showed you, already available on the sample gallery. And that's all for me. Thank you. Back to you.
Awesome. Very cool demo. Cool to see some of the new stuff coming down the pipe. Paolo, thank you very much. Next up, we have Kasper giving us a nice demo on PnP Modern Search web parts. Take it away.
Thank you. You should be able to see my presentation right now.
Yes, we can.
All good.
Okay, good. Okay. The purpose of this session is to give you an introduction in how to really get started with PnP Modern Search, because we've seen a number of cases recently in the support area on the project where people have had to struggle how to really get it installed on their tenant for various reasons. So I'll go back to basics and see what we can do there. So my name is Kasper Larsen, and I am, as I said, working with the PnP Modern Search and other related content. So this is where you can find my contact info. So what is PnP Modern Search really? It's a set of web parts that allow you to tailor your search-driven solutions, because we got so much from what we got today from Microsoft, and it's always improving. But some cases we really need to tailor our experience for our customers to do something which we can't do using the out-of-the-box options available. Of course, it's open source. It's driven by the community, and some people think that we can only use SharePoint as a data source, but we can also use Microsoft Search, which is a great boon, because Microsoft Search is spreading all over Microsoft 365, and we get more and more options available that way around. So that was the wrong way. So we have the documentation and guides, of course, on the site in GitHub. That's also where we have the source code and issues and discussions. So if you have anything that we think it doesn't work, or I don't know how to make it work, please do ask us there, because we are pretty good at answering the questions. We also have office hours, which is an offering where people can get half an hour or 15 minutes to discuss their issues in a one-to-one in a Teams call. So if you have something that you would like to discuss, please sign up for that. That's every 2 weeks that we have an hour worth of office hour. So something about environments, because if the optimal way to test the PnP web parts is sort of like to kick the tires to see what it can do and how we can use it, is of course to get an environment where you are your own master. So if you can get a developer tenant using the Microsoft 365 developer program, that would be optimal, because, well, you have your own tenant, you are your own global admin, you can do whatever you want. And so that will give you all the options available. If you can't do that because for reasons, perhaps you can get a demo tenant where Microsoft are providing demo tenants for at least for some of their partners. And so if you can get your fingers in one of these 3 months tenants or 1 month tenants, that would do nicely as well. Of course, it will eventually disappear. So don't store too much of your intellectual property there. But it will give you an option to really try it out to wherever you can. If that's not an option, and your employer should have, if they have a fairly sized development offering, they should have a development and test environment for in the in-house, because if you have something in your production environment and you are doing development on your production environment, that's not optimal, and you can always buy a developer or test tenant using it with a very small number of licenses, so it doesn't have to cost too much. And if that's not an option, you can test it using your production environment without making it break. But that is the last option from my point of view. So how do you really start using it? Well, first you go to the GitHub repository and download the SP package file, and then you install it into your tenant app catalog, and times that is not going to work, because we have something called internal security and internal audit people, and they are not so keen on allowing people to install stuff in the tenant app catalog. So that might not be an option, but we have other ways. But just in case we actually have the option to install something in the tenant app catalog, let's try to do that. So we shift to my tenant here. Of course, there's just the documentation, and we have the GitHub repository over there, and we can go over here, grab the latest version. You see that the current version is 4.93. That is partly true because we also have, as I said earlier in the call, we have version 4.10, but it's in pre-release, so we'll get that released eventually. But we go over here and we just download the package from here. It is downloaded to my local hard drive, and I can take it from there. If I have my own tenant or I have access to it, I can go into the SharePoint Admin Center, go into more features, go into apps as we're used to. And in here, if we install it in here, sometimes we will have to wait for it to take effect. The worst case I've seen was about 24 hours. So if you're planning to actually do something with this, please install it ahead of time. That would be a good idea. By the way, it's pretty small. Perhaps I can scale it up. It says up here that Microsoft SharePoint add-ins will be retired. And we've had a few questions. How does that affect the PnP Modern Search? It does not at all. So there's no relation between those two things. We'll keep on running. So if I upload my package to the app catalog, it goes in here. And once it's installed, I'll be asked to provide some API access for this one. I can do that, or I can just skip it, because this isn't only optional. It's primarily to do with the ability to look up people information on in Graph. Another option is that we can enable this app on all sites. That is, of course, an option that sort of like what we're used to back in the old days, where every app that is installed is also available on all sites collections. But we can also choose to just enable the app so we can pull the app from the various site collections as we please. It's primarily a question of taste, as far as I'm concerned. So if we enable our app, it will take a bit of a while, a small while, and then we will get a bit. Yeah, come on, move it. So now it is available on the tenant level, and we can start using it. And the app permissions is something that we can grant it either now or later or never, if we don't want to allow the app to do that. So that was one option. But we still have our guy here who's not happy about this. So what can we do if we are on a tenant where we cannot use the app catalog? Well, we are kind of lucky that we can also move along and just install it on the site collection. Some people are not aware of that option, but it is actually an option that we have. So if we go into my tenant again, and we go to a site which I have previously created, very informative name. But if I go into this one and I try to install the app on the site collection, I can't do that. There's no way I have to actually install it in here. I'll have to do a little bit of handiwork, and that is to run a bit of PowerShell. In my case, there might be other ways to do it. Let me be honest about that. But I'm a PnP PowerShell guy, so I always revert to that option. So I connect to my admin center, and then I connect to. I just ask it to add a PnP site collection app catalog on that site that I'm actually using right now. So let's just do that. See what happens. Okay, it's done. If I go back to my site collection and I do a refresh, there's a list called apps for SharePoint that's been added as well. So if I go in here, this looks very familiar, and I can add my PnP Modern Search web parts here as well. This also gives me the ability to have different versions on different versions of PnP Modern Search on different site collections. So if, for instance, now I have a version right here, by the way, my 4.10, I would like to test that one, but I don't want to override the one that I have in my app, in my tenant app catalog. So I just want to use this package or this set of features on a specific site collection. I can do that. So in general, I use 4.9, but on this site collection, I use 4.10. That are also pretty handy from time to time. So I just installed this one, and then thinking about that for a bit, and now it's there, and it comes up again and asks me to if I want to apply it to all sites in the site collection. Well, that doesn't really make sense here. So let's just install it. So let's see, it should be there. So now we have this one deployed on our site collections. So let's go home, and perhaps we can add it now. That's the thing we have seen some people get tricked by. Right now, that web part, those web parts, which is part of that package, it's not here. It's because we haven't added it yet. We have added it to the site collection app catalog, but we haven't added it as an app. So if we go up here, say add an app, now we have both of them actually available. The one from this, the tenant app catalog, and the one from the site app catalog. So let's just add that one. And now I have my web parts available on the site. As soon as it is ready, we can go in here and have a look in our site content. Well, it's still grayed out, so it's still installing. basically. So now it's all rare, and we should be able to start using our web parts. All of the goodies, they're here now. So that gives you an option as far as even if you are on a pretty locked down tenant, you can still manage to get your PnP Modern Search web parts on your site collection if that is what you are looking forward to do. So that was sort of a very brief introduction to how you can actually kind of cheat the system and get it on your site collection anyway. And next time, which is somewhere in the middle of January, I have another session about people search. So I'll hope to see you there. And back to you, Beau.
Awesome. Fantastic. I can't wait to see next steps after this. Nice hack there that you showed us today. All right, to finish up today, my mouse works. All right, as always, we love your feedback. Unless it's bad, keep it to yourself. No, just kidding. Let us know how we did. We always want to improve these calls, these demos. So go to aka-ms/community/calls/feedback and let us know how we're doing. As well, join our official Discord server. Connect, learn, collaborate. It's a great place to ask questions, see all the calls, and just kind of have a nice asynchronous community. And then again, thank you everyone for hopping on this call. This recording will be available in 24 hours. You can always check out all of our existing calls we've done in the past at aka.ms/community/videos. Don't forget to follow us on X, and we'll see you on the next Viva Connections call, December 28th. Thank you and goodbye.